This podcast features adult content not suitable for listeners under the age of 18. You have been warned.
Welcome to this episode of Back to the Story, where friends come together to play Dungeons and Dragons. I'll be your DM, Klouse. Let's get started.
If there's anybody in our friends group that you can tell me.
I don't think the stars would shine so bright if just one of you were not here.
My name is Ezekiel de Barbarek, at your service.
You have my sword.
You're the only person who makes me want to be better than I am.
And my axe.
I wasn't strong enough or fast enough or, clever enough. I didn't have it in me to stop what happened.
We haven't done this before. Does that make us professional?
That would make you amateurs at best.
And if those do not help their people survive, they're cut from the pack.
You wake up from this daydream, from this nightmare. Half memory, half dream.
There's more out there to find, and there's more moments for having.
I'll find a way to be stronger next time.
I don't know fuck all about what's right.
Everyone who has ever loved you was wrong.
You can do better.
I know. I have to.
How do you want to do this? So, previously, Chapter 18, Blood in the Water. After boarding the Golden Elf ship, the Celipherloom, the Bronze Scales set off into the Sea of Orn towards the distant island of Westrin. During your first few days on the ocean, you attempted to get the Ameri slave Orizana to trust you or open up, to varying results. You also met a mysterious man in black, Alejandro, who you came to know as Ali, a purveyor of arcane arts and enchanted wares. On the third day, the boat became distracted as it crossed paths with a caravan of migrating large turtles with reflecting white shells. The slowest of these pearlbacks was heavily wounded. Ezekiel saw this and leapt into the water to heal the creature. A few others were able to heal the creature a bit as Ezekiel turned to reboard the ship, seeing movement in the water. This churning of water revealed itself to be a huge sea alligator known as a sea saurus. The creature snapped its toothy jaw around Ezekiel as the bronze scales leapt into action. The creature was strong and hardy, taking heavy blows from weapon and spell upon its back. The saurus was just about to dive deep with Ezekiel in its mouth before Bál commanded the creature to turn its attention to him instead. With the creature still on the surface of the sea, the group surrounded and attacked the saurus, with Ezekiel delivering the finishing blow, ripping out its throat as a massive direwolf. After this, you all, with the help of some of the Golden Elves, pulled the carcass of the saurus onto the ship. Its meat was harvested to yield numerous saurus steaks, which were served as dinner that evening. You've all just finished dinner, as Ellory and a grizzled Golden Elf have noticed a light heading towards the ship in the distance. It's about 8 p.m. in the evening, with a mostly clear sky, but the wind is strong, splashing cool seawater onto your faces if you stand near the edge. The Sea of Orn stretches before you, endless in every direction, with a cool blue silver moon above and the constellations scattered above, like holes in a black velvet blanket. What do you do now?
I turn to the elf next to me and ask, "Can you tell what that is?"
He's squinting off in the distance and kind of turns his head towards you, but doesn't take his eyes off the light. I'm not sure. He looks towards you and then turns, seeking someone on the ship. Elvielio. And he kind of blends in from common into Elven, and he goes and finds the captain of the ship and brings him over and points out to the sea. What do you do as he walks off to find him?
Which direction does it seem to be coming from?
From the northwestish.
Okay. As he's getting the captain, I'm going to quietly go around and tell each member of the group what I saw, but I'm trying not to make too much noise about it.
Yeah, so you're able to, as everyone's eating, able to one by one kind of grab everyone, gather them all together as you point out to sea, and the rest of you do see this light heading towards you. At first you think it's a star, a bright one, But as you look upon in that direction, you see the light is slowly shifting, weaving, bouncing, and heading in this direction, and you can just barely make out the faint lines of wings flapping.
What is that?
I don't know.
I have a question. Does this sound like something that the sailors that would show up in the Copper Sail or other various taverns in town would, like, talk about in, you know, like old sailor stories, that kind of thing?
You can make a history check at disadvantage on this one.
Okay, that's 14, 9, 15?
You've heard a number of stories. More of them have been about sea monsters attacking ships. Sometimes ghost ships have been the most wild stories. You've never heard of a flying light. At least not from sailors.
Then, not knowing what it is, Amsen will look intently at it, wanting to know what it is.
Okay. And for now, you all, as you're looking in that direction, as it's getting closer, you'll be able to make out more of it. For now, it's a light, and you can see wings. As it does get closer, you all can see it's larger than you expected. The wings maybe stretch 12, 14 feet, maybe? I mean, you're guessing it's far away, but it's not a small creature.
And it looks like it's emitting light, not reflecting it?
Yeah, it's bright enough to where it's not just reflecting light.
Okay.
Does it look like any creature that I know of?
You can make a nature check. I mean, not off the top of your head, but as you're thinking.
Come on. 7.
I mean, you've heard of creatures that have wingspans that size, but none of them emit light. Not like that.
Can we clearly tell that it's beelining for us?
Yeah. It's pretty obvious.
Can we tell what kind of wings they are? Like feathered versus bat-like?
Yeah, everyone give me a perception check.
Perhaps it's something riding on it with a lantern or something similar.
Dirty 20.
Natural 1, so 8.
12.
18. 16. 19.
Okay. So the others of you, it's far enough away and the light's bright enough that the light is sort of creating that light blindness that makes it hard to see. Kalvyn and Ellory, you two are able to see as the wings flap. There is a feathered like appearance to these wings. You can't tell any color from this distance, but the way the wings move and shift in the wind as it presses against it, you can tell it seems to be feathered.
Does it seem like the light's going to be blinding by the time it gets to us?
It's definitely bright. It's hard to tell if it's going to be blinding, but it is very bright.
Okay.
And how far away is it now?
It's a good 1,000 feet. And then at that moment, you hear, for those of you who speak Elven, you hear the captain move, searching for someone. Meviton, Maarvith, Solver. And he comes and finds a female elf you've seen walking around and haven't paid much attention to her, but she has short copper brown hair, golden tan skin. Her eyes are royal blue like the sky. She wears very little, just like the rest of the sailors. Shorts, a simple vest of leather. Something you could swim easily in. She does have green tattoos along her right forearm that resembles a swirl of constellations. She's calm as she steps up to the captain. Nebuthon, that's something. How should we rechart the ship? She kind of nods, and she turns her forearm over so she can see the constellations, and she begins to study the stars.
Can we set up for battle stations, okay. I mean, Kalvyn's gonna get his shit and assume that it's round 2, bitches, here we go.
Yeah, Bál will take Kalvyn's lead there and also try to start setting up for some kind of a defense.
Yeah, Vesper's all I'm going to draw my rapier and start getting ready.
Is there a crow's nest?
Sort of, yeah. It's not the bucket, but there is a flat plank that you can kind of stand on and hold the mast.
Alright, I want to go there.
Okay, you climb up there, and there's just enough room for you, and there's the grizzled golden elf has climbed up there as well, with his glaive on his back, and he has a bow in his hand. He kind of nods and makes room for you.
Thank you kindly.
And the creature is now 800 feet away or so. 700, 600. You can now start to see the faint outline as the light kind of dances as along this creature and on the ocean below it. It's only maybe 40 feet above the sea. You can see the wings are white, massive. You can see the body of whatever creature this is massive itself.
If I get the sense that it is actually hostile, then I'd like to cast a spell.
Okay. It's hard to tell its hostility, but it is moving with rapid haste in your direction. At which point, the Naviton Meredith Sovereign, she finishes looking at her forearm and shifts and walks actually calmly up the stairs up to the wheel and places her hand on another golden elf who's piloting the vessel and directs him, points in a direction. And suddenly you feel this ship to the side as it suddenly shifts to the side. You'll have to grab onto something to keep from skidding down to one side as the ship is now pitched to the right, away from the creature, about 30 degrees or so. And then you can kind of hear it skipping along the ways.
Is Orizana above deck right now?
No, she's not.
Okay.
Does the creature follow our turn, or does it seem to be keeping its course?
It does seem to turn and continue trajectory towards the ship. The ship is slowed in its turn, and the creature has gotten closer.
How close is it now?
500, 400. You can start to make out.
Can we make out if it's like bestial or humanoid?
You can see these two great wings. Each are maybe 7 or 8 feet long, white, feathered. You can see the body is pale white or silver. There is something reflective on the body of the creature, something that looks metal, silver or steel. You can see 4 legs that are moving as if it's running in the air. And you see another glint. You see where the light's coming from, something golden up on the back. As it's catching up, 500, 400, 300. The ship has kind of now finished its turn, and the golden elf has directed them to straighten up, seeing how close it is, and head at great haste in one direction. Let me see here. The ship begins to pull away, but not before the creature gets close enough to where you can make out what it is. You see a white horse, gleaming, wearing steel or silver armor upon its back and neck, the helm upon the horse's head, the 4 legs, its hoofed legs running, galloping upon the air, the wings of white feathers flapping. And upon its back you see what's making this light. A person, or something like a person, wearing golden armor that shines with the light of a star. It's hard to make out much more than that, but you see golden light radiating as you see them grabbing the reins of the horse and directing it directly to you. It's maybe 200 feet away at this point.
Friend of yours? Y'all tend to have some interesting compatriots.
Nope. And because, do I have any idea what this might be? At all?
You can make I guess religion check might be its closest.
Okay. God, that was not great. That's an 8.
I mean, it's a gleaming person in golden armor on a flying horse.
I have a question. The direction it's coming from, is that from Embershore, or was it just a random direction?
No, it was from northwest. You're about halfway, more or less, across the sea, so it was just northern in the middle of the sea.
Okay.
The ship is now turned, and the creature is kind of coming behind it. You can tell the human or the person is kind of ducked low as the flying horse is trying to gain speed.
Is there would it be possible to clear a path, like to suggest that, hey, Kalvyn's gonna try to clear a way so that this person could land potentially safely on the back of the ship, wherever we are, or wherever it can get to?
Do you want to try that?
Yeah, Calvin's gonna be like, "Hey y'all, clear away. Let him get in here. He probably got something important. He looks super important. We should listen to him."
And if it tries to kill all of us?
Well, it's probably going to do that anyway. If we try and be polite, perhaps it won't.
Be a little bit more optimistic. Why don't you? This thing looks like it wants to be friends.
Kalvyn, make a persuasion check.
That's a 23, sir.
Okay. They back up. They're nearby, the weapons are still out, but they back up and kind of, from the rear of the ship, the pirate is still helming the steering wheel, and the naviton, the person who seems to be guiding and directing the path of the ship, navigating, still stands there as well. But the rest clear back. They still have the weapons out, but clear it on that back deck besides Kalvyn and those two golden elves. The rest of you, y'all are positioning yourselves. Have you changed positions, or where are you?
I'll go up to kind of where Kalvyn has asked people to clear out, just on the cusp of that area.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm going to be further back than that.
I'll hang by Amsen.
I'll go closer to the landing pad, kind of like the welcoming party.
Okay. So you reshift. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say I'll stay.
Yeah, okay. And as you kind of stay in turn towards the back of the ship, the grizzled golden elf kind of begins to swing down on a rope to get to the ground. As he sees now the creature is heading in its direction, he puts his longbow up and pulls out the glaive with the ribbon tied on its end, and makes his way towards the back of the ship as well. The rest of you, or all of you, see as the creature who has gone into almost a dive, a sprint with this horse to catch up. You see this winged horse in gleaming armor of silver or steel begin to catch up 200, 150, 150, 30 feet away as it glides on the air.
When it's within 60 feet, can I do a divine sense?
Yeah, celestial.
Got it. Figured.
Two celestial beings. And you see on the back, you now see close enough to see there is a female individual of humanoid size, maybe a little taller. It's hard to tell. She's mounted, wearing gleaming golden armor that shines with the stars. She has a golden helm that has wings that flow back and up. She has these shoulder pauldrons. She wears kind of simple armor as a breastplate and this sort of armored skirt, as well as gauntlets. The gauntlets seem to have stones embedded in them, 3 stones on each gauntlet, as well as shin guards, similar contraption with boots as well, of metal. You can see as she gets close enough to, the horse lands with heavy hooves, footfalls, that threaten to push its mass through the wood of the ship. It's heavy. And you can see now, those closest enough to her, you see her eyes are black, except for a silver stripe where her pupils are, as she looks around.
Does she have any, her armor or the horse's armor, does it have any religious, gods symbols on it?
Make a religion, or investigation or religion. Here it is.
Let's do religion, because that's better, always. 13.
And can I make the investigation for that?
Sure. You two are close enough, as well as Kalvyn and Bál are close enough to see.
I got a 21.
You'll do both see symbols, but look more like runes upon the armor, upon the horse's head in the center between its eyes on its forehead, and upon the shoulders, shoulder pauldrons of the golden creature. The runes resemble, if you speak Celestial, they resemble Celestial, but they, at the same time, are different. Old Celestial, forgotten, corrupted, or something different. Some sort of dialect of Celestial that you can't quite tell what it reads.
Kalvyn's just gonna step forward and he's gonna reach his hand out at first, and then he's gonna try to catch himself and kind of bump his chest or something, do some sort of military salute, and just be, "Hail and well met."
Make a persuasion check, Kalvyn, as she lands and holding the reins looks down at you. And this horse is like a draft horse. It's massive. This is a workhorse.
18.
18. She looks at you for the first time, and it feels like she's actually noticed you. You can see her silver eyes almost piercing into yourself. Instead of reaching for the blade on her side, she shifts back to the reins, and she flips her leg over and spins, almost in slow motion. She falls. She lands upon the deck, but just on her toes, like a dancer, like a ballet dancer, as if the weight of sin has yet to fall on her shoulders. As she takes one tiptoeing step, a graceful, almost a skip or a leap, she glides in the air towards you, wingless. She opens her mouth and a voice comes out, something that reminds you of the celestial that some of your friends speak, that you don't quite know, but in a way that you've never heard it before. She sings. She sings these words that hum and bounce and sound like church bells ringing in her throat. And they ring out loud enough to where everyone on the ship can hear these words.
That's quite lovely.
She looks at your shield. She looks at you once more.
Kalvyn's gonna look over to the rest of the crew. Do we have like any coin, loose coin we can tip her or something? I don't know how this stuff works.
When she's saying, you said that it was a dialect of Celestial, even me didn't understand?
So who speaks Celestial besides Ezekiel? Is it just Ezekiel?
It's just Zeke.
It's just Zeke. Zeke, you catch words every now and then. Sacred land. Fallen star. Sister. Protect. War. In that order.
Alright. Once I catch that, I guess I'll start climbing down and making my way closer.
The rest of you see the creature as Ezekiel is moving closer. She's still just barely touching the deck. Turns and looks about the ship. She then looks towards Kalvyn again and gestures as if asking for you to move aside.
Kalvyn will kind of stumble back, take not a full step back, but just kind of push one step on one heel and kind of like, oh, okay, and then he'll kind of do like some sort of hokey pokey twirl around in some sort of semblance of what she did, looking around, and then kind of like maybe bow forward a little bit, like, yeah, see, I can do, yeah.
You do that, and your armor clinks as you do so. Your heavy armor as you shift around, but you do that, and she doesn't meet your eyes again. And she begins to walk forward past you. You can see her skin almost matches the same color of her armor, and is gleaming with a similar radiance. Her face, feminine and beautiful, is almost foreign-looking. Her eyes a bit too large, her cheekbones too sharp, her face too symmetrical.
I'm kind of drifting forward, closer, to get a better look, in spite of myself.
Okay. And Ezekiel, you've probably made it as close as you want to at this point.
I'll hover next to Amsen and repeat the words to him that I caught from the song, which I'll need at some point, because I didn't get them all, but...
As she's kind of stepping forward and clearing the space, I'll speak up and say, I guess to the people on the boat, maybe looking at the elves, does anyone here speak her language?
Any golden elves that you look at, they shake their heads.
Lady, do you speak common?
Take a persuasion check, Ball, as she's transfixed on something further back from the boat.
That's a 20.
She stops and looks and turns towards you, up at the tall 10-foot-1 Ball. I will suffer. And she draws a blade from her side. The blade is like a broadsword, but long, and she points it towards you. The sword and blade glowing, just as her armor and skin does.
I'm going to step up a little bit at this point with my rapier still kind of drawn.
What is this?
Her face hasn't made much of an expression. She's just sung and pointed her blade towards you. Ezekiel, you're close enough to hear Lord?
Oh, shit. I'll look at Amsen. What do you think they put in that girl's stomach?
I have no idea. We still have to figure that out.
I'll step forward, and in Celestial, as best I can. My lady, I am sure you have been sent here for a divine purpose. I'm having trouble understanding you completely, but perhaps I can help guide you to what you need.
The blade is still held towards Bál's throat, or as close as she can get it to it. But she turns calmly in your direction and sings. In Celestial, you catch a few of the words. Lost child, here, golden star, sacred land. And she looks beyond you, beyond your shoulder.
Can we follow her gaze? See what she's looking at?
Yeah. She's looking towards the back, we'll say, left side of the boat. There's a few golden elves. Ellory's on that side as well as Vesper.
I'm going to look to Vesper and say, Ezekiel might be onto something. Might have something to do with our guest and her cargo.
She has as of some sort of magic. Probably should have said that before now.
She begins to walk away from Bál, pausing by Ezekiel, and then begins to tiptoe down the stairs, gracefully, almost in slow motion, as if it takes no effort.
I run ahead of her.
Yeah,
I was going to try and do the same.
Kalvyn's going to follow behind like some sort of, like some sort of a guide or a guard. Like, I'm just walking with her.
I'll be way at the back.
Go ahead, Bál.
What's the horse doing?
It follows her. It's a good 10, 15 feet back, but it does stay in relative proximity to her.
As we're kind of running down the stairs, I will whisper to Ellory, be careful. They may be good. They don't have much forgiveness.
You all can now realize, as you're all close enough, that though she's looked beyond Ezekiel, and she hasn't looked at Vesper, who's now made herself closer, she's staring directly at Ellory. And Ellory, you see these silver slit of an eye upon these black eyes, as she gracefully almost dances towards you in a fluid motion. Slow, but fluid.
I'm stepping right up to Ellory, just kind of.
Are you to the side or blocking?
Mostly to the side, but just a little, like, with her shoulder behind me kind of a thing. Like, I can get in front of her if I need to.
Okay.
And I might do, like, the mom arm kind of thing, but with, like, my rapier kind of.
She doesn't seem to respond to any sort of aggressive or defensive action. She just, as if serving a divine purpose, moves with the same slow grace, sinless. As she moves towards Ellory, she reaches her hand out when she's within 5 feet, and she says a few words. Ezekiel, you catch golden star, and the song reverberates off of itself, bouncing off whatever radiance lies within this holy creature. As she continues to get closer, 5, 3, 2, 1 foot. She's inches away. She's reaching her hand out towards Ellory, towards your forehead.
I kind of instinctively flinch back a little bit.
Okay.
But I don't like try and back away.
Okay. You flinch back, and you can see the gauntlets of gold with these bluish-green crystal stones embedded in them that shine a sort of bluish-green light faintly against the yellow and golds of her armor as she reaches her hand out and places it upon your head. Ellory, make Go ahead.
I want to cast Protection from Good and Evil on Ellory.
Okay. Do you have to, is that a range?
Oh, you're right, it's touched, so never mind. I just sit there and just listen.
Ball begins to take a step forward, reaching his massive arm out to try to do so, but it's too late before Ellory make a wisdom saving throw. I'm sorry.
18.
Okay. You feel a shudder of energy, a fountain, divine, holy, sinless, as if it has never been dirtied or soiled by this world. You stand for a moment. You stutter back as she withdraws her hand. The rest of you see her withdraws her hand almost in disgust, the first emotion she's displayed upon her face. She pulls her hand away. She looks disgusted and then confused, worried, concerned. The first of these emotions flash upon the creature's face as Ellory, you step back for a moment.
Now I step in between them, and I'm going to hold my rapier out at this.
You step in between, holding the rapier out. The creature doesn't come any closer as Ellory takes another step back, almost dazed. The creature...
I'll ask her what she did.
I will. What was that? What's this about your fallen star?
Make a persuasion check, as she's almost lost in whatever she's experienced.
16?
You hear her say wrong. Too late. You hear her say too late. And she begins to kind of pull herself together and shift and turn gracefully back towards her horse. Before she gets to it and gracefully jumps with no effort, hovering up, turning and faces towards you, Ezekiel. And she sings the words, "The stars will fall again." There's a few other lyrics that you don't quite catch, but you do hear those words. As the horse shifts, turns around to see Ball there. Ellory, as the creature touched your forehead, its golden light shining into your eyes. Once it placed and made contact, you felt a warm radiance, and then immediately a cold pain, a sadness, a despair, and you saw the vision suddenly in an instant shift. And you see the creature standing before you no longer wore golden armor, but wore black, dark, purplish armor. No wings on the helmet, but just a shell of malice. You saw, instead of the blade at her side, you saw a long glaive on her back. The horse behind her was not white with silver armor, but was black, with red eyes, and the same purplish black armor upon it, and dark black feathered wings of a raven. You saw this creature, instead of golden skin, you saw dark, bluish purple skin. And as she pulled away, you saw this vision fade and flicker, as if you were seeing two things at once, a dual vision, as you took a step back, sort of stunned. Ellory, you blink a few more times, and you see you've missed the last couple of seconds. And you see the golden creature now mounting onto the horse once again and turning to head back.
I just kind of reach out my hand and say, "Wait."
As in slow, as it, you see the wings come unfurled. As the rest of you hear Ellory speak this, I assume I'm coming.
Mm-hmm.
If I repeat it in Celestial, does she stop?
She doesn't. You see the wings. As the horse begins to leaps off the side of the ship, falls towards the sea before it glides and picks back up, flying 30, 40, 60 feet into the air, banking, curving around the ship before heading northwest, returning from its original direction. You see what's still shining that golden light of the star as it now travels away from you.
Ellory, are you okay?
I don't know. I don't know what that was.
What happened? I'm gonna, guide her over and sit her down somewhere.
I saw something. It's like she changed for a moment.
Changed.
Something like another version of herself, but dark and wrong. What the fuck was that?
I don't know. Whatever she tried to do to you, it didn't seem to work. After she touched you, she said it was wrong and too late. But she said the stars will fall again. That seemed to be a common point, fallen star of some kind. She may have called you sister.
Sister?
Ellory, may I ask you a question? Do you know where your magic comes from? Where in your bloodline, maybe, or...
I don't know anything about my bloodline. I assume at this point that my magic comes from my parents, but I don't know who the fuck they are.
I see. Sorry, I didn't know.
It's alright. I thought maybe this trip might be an opportunity to find out who they are. Best guess is that they weren't from Embershore. But I really don't know anything.
Well, as you're feeling alright, maybe just take it easy for the next few days. If you feel anything strange, I don't know. A lot of strange things involving Celestials have happened in my life, and that was interesting even for me.
Did she say anything else?
Something about a sacred land, protect, fallen star, sister, war. I think I might have heard host child. That I might be crazy.
Lord child.
Lord child.
I think that's what she said.
None of this makes any sense.
The captain is now responding with orders in Elven to the Golden Elves to quicken the ship with haste to get them back on track. And now you kind of realize, as you're looking around, the captain isn't really in charge of the ship. It's the navigator. The captain is just the sort of person who commands it and gets everything in top order, but it's the navigator who really chooses the direction and how they go about it. The other person just executes the orders. You do see as they move around, pulling ropes and shifting things, that they're eyeing you, Ellory in particular. The grizzled golden elf stays close, relatively, 20-25 feet, and just kind of eyes, watches.
Ezekiel, could you read the runes on her armor?
I don't know. Could I? You said they were old.
They were old. You could have made a few out in the same way that you could make out the language. Star is one, especially if you said it so much, you could start to see that. You saw the word Senkorvela, which is roughly translated to sacred land.
Do I know of any place to the northwest direction that she flew to?
No. And actually, as you're making haste, quickened at this point, and the creature upon her horse was flying away with haste as well, away from you, you can see the light quickly gaining distance. And at a certain point, the light just fades immediately.
Vesper.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got several words. Do you think maybe you could put them together if we put it together into some sort of theme, do you think, I mean, you know a lot, some things about religion. Do you know of any deity that sounds like this? Fallen star, protect, war, something, things like that?
I say land. As I roll religion.
Roll it at disadvantage.
Oh shit, okay, that was a good one. Ah shit, 10.
No, you've never heard of this. And that kind of tells you something, because you've You know the most about Ain, but you know a fair amount of the other deities, even a bit about some of the not-so-good deities, and you have heard nothing about this.
No. Valisol, sometimes a sun god. The Emberstones, like you said, are his tears. Those are fallen lights. Ain fell. But I don't... Sacred Land, I can only think of maybe 9 Minute or, whatever that one was. We found the stone tablet on that, warrior, but I don't know. Nothing really connects.
Yeah, I don't remember either. Well, do you want to hit up a library when we get to the next city?
I definitely do.
Alright, we'll do that.
Ellory, how are you feeling? Ellory's just kind of sitting there with her head in her hands. I don't know. Ezekiel, you said Celestials aren't very forgiving. Maybe that was some kind of judgment.
I wouldn't necessarily go that far. All I know is that the one who I have had primary dealing with tends to have very high standards that are difficult to meet and tend not to bend in a way that a person would. For them, morality is absolute. Black and white is all there is. Personally, I see many different colors.
Not all divinity is unforgiving. No. Kind of touch my holy symbol.
I thought she was coming here for Orizana for a minute.
So did I. I'm a little worried about
where is Orizana.
I think she's below where she usually is.
We might want to check on her. Just in case.
Yeah, let's do that. And I get up and I start walking down.
I follow.
I also follow.
You go downstairs and you see her just kind of leaned up against the ship. She's awake. She was apparently awoken by the ship turning rapidly. She seems to sleep a lot, but you can see the bags under her eyes are starting to fade as she's catching up on sleep.
I'll ask her in Elven if she's doing okay.
She nods. Yes. She's actually looking at you, sort of meeting your gaze, which is something.
Good, that's good to hear that you're doing well, and I'm still speaking in Elven. There's nothing for you to worry about. It's just something out at sea that decided to pay us a visit, temporarily.
That's why the ship turned, but we're getting back on course now.
Okay.
And if you need anything, feel free to let us know.
I will.
Can one of you ask her if she saw what they put inside of her?
Yeah, I guess I can do that. We can do that.
Maybe we don't want to have that conversation with all of us kind of standing around staring at her.
That's probably a good idea.
So, maybe just be a few of us.
Well, we have to do it before we get to Westrin, which is only a few days away. Oh, so Kalvyn and Bál aren't here, so it's not as spooky crowded.
I was going to spend a little time down here practicing so that not everybody has to listen to my experimental bardship.
Okay, so it looks like it's actually just the three of us down here at the moment.
Team Paladin's upstairs and the Snark Squad is down talking to Orizana. Got it.
I'm gonna sit down on the floor, kind of near-ish Orizana, but keeping at least an arm's length between us so it doesn't seem like... So just try and be as unthreatening as possible.
Okay. Yeah. You're able to sit, and Amsen pulling out his lute, practicing a bit. As you're kind of settled... Go ahead.
I'm going to practice some of the hymns and songs of Ain that we play at the temple.
Okay. Yeah. And Vesper, of course, knows every line. But as you're kind of playing, listening, settling in, Paladin Posse, what are you guys doing above deck?
If the other boys don't have anything, Ezekiel is gonna climb back up to the crow's nest. And we haven't actually talked about it before, but my map, is that like a physical object that I can take out and try and make work right now?
Yeah.
So I'll take out my map and see, because I remember you saying it was a particularly clear night. See if I'm getting any pings either in the direction of Westrin or in the direction that the Angel Lady flew in.
Okay. As you pull it out, give me a straight wisdom check.
Straight wisdom. Okay.
Oh, I gave you mechanics. That's not that.
Wisdom is a 13.
Okay. Looking around, the first 10 minutes don't yield much. You look at the sky and you see a few constellations that make sense for this time of year. Those constellations, a few of them match up with the stone, small markings upon it. Taking another 10, 15 minutes, you begin to realize that part of the sky doesn't match with your rooms. That's all you kind of get here. But that part of the sky is in the direction of where the golden creature flew.
Alright, I'll pack it up, go back down.
Okay. While he's doing that and the others are below deck, Ball, Kalvyn, were you doing anything in particular?
That was strange. Paul says to Kalvyn.
Yeah, I don't think that normally happens, does it?
I've never seen a flying horse.
To be fair, we've never really been out on the sea either.
I wonder what she said about it.
Probably that you're incredibly handsome, and, we're lucky to have you. That's what I would guess.
That wouldn't explain why she put her sword to my throat.
Just a regular finger wouldn't work, pointing at you. She needed something a little bit more extravagant.
Maybe you're right. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I am right.
And then I'll probably just kind of, look off into the distance.
Okay. The night continues without any other issues. The ship is back on course, as you all eventually do find sleep, rest, whether below or above deck. And the next morning greets you. The warm sun. You can see the sky is filled with white billowing clouds that stretch out. You see the tensions have kind of left from the night before. The family that stayed below deck a lot of the trip have now come above. The mother and father and looks like a teenager, kind of looking out to sea, watching one of the golden elves as they fish off the back. They're kind of watching the line, tugging it every now and then. And you're free to do as you will.
Klouse, can we do that thing that I messaged you about last week?
Oh God, did I forget it? What is it? I'm sure I'll remember it.
I just wanted to talk to the shady guy.
Ah, yes, of course. Okay, so you go into that room. There's the tent there. Do you just go by yourself, or do you bring someone with you?
Yeah, I'll go by myself.
Okay. You see the tent. There's a sign outside that says Alley's Stock, and you enter in, and you see he's working on that huge claymore, and kind of looks up. Same black clothes, colored scarf, black, basically cowboy hat, shedding shadows over his face so you can't quite make it out.
Hello there, my good sir.
Hello, friend. Pleasure to see you once more.
Yes. So, I've been giving it some thought, and there are a couple of things that I want to ask about. The first thing is that I seem to have lost the key to my luggage, and I was hoping that you would possibly have some tools that I could purchase so that I could unlock it.
What kind of tools are you looking for, friend?
Ones for opening a lock for which I have no key.
You see, I don't have much tools in the way of that. I might have some wire thin enough that you might be able to give it a try.
All right.
I apologize. I am not a purveyor of those sort of instruments.
Well, very well then. The other thing that I was looking for is you mentioned you had a book that does not become damaged in extreme weather?
You see he kind of visibly perks up and kind of stops working on the blade. Yes, but I do. Right over here. And he shifts over to one of the shelves and pulls out this book. Looks like a journal. Bound in leather. There are runes upon the four corners and a lock around it, with a buckle of leather as well. This is a spell book, and it will withstand many extreme conditions.
Yeah, I was wondering what you wanted for this.
For this, the enchantment upon each page and the binding itself, 100 gold pieces. I assure you, friend, it is well worth the coin.
Do you happen to know how many pages are in this book?
And he kind of thumbs through it. About 50 pages or so.
Alright. 2 gold per magically enchanted page, which the ink should never run. You know what? I'll take it.
He smiles and holds the book out and holds his other hand out for coin. His gloved hands.
There you go.
Thank you, friend. And if you have any questions about the arcane arts, I am willing to listen.
Of course.
As he begins to shift over towards the blade again.
Thank you for your time. I will see you around. And I will leave. And as soon as I am out of the room, I'm going to open it and see what's all inside of it.
You open it up and looking within it, it's blank pages of very fine quality. You see smaller runes in each of the four corners of each and every page.
Awesome.
You've probably seen something similar in Melee's possession, a spellbook. Something capable of withholding arcane instructions for casting spells.
Okay, I will stuff that into my bag.
You have it. As Amsen is shopping, anyone else?
I'm going to stay below for a little while and take out my playing cards and start playing a little game of solitaire.
Oh, I was actually going to ask you for your cards. I was going to say we should play something together.
I mean, are you still down there?
Yeah, I think I slept downstairs with you last night.
Okay. Then I guess I'll start up a game with you. Is Orizana awake at this point?
Yeah. She's sitting where she always does.
So, as I'm playing the game with Vesper, I start talking to Orizana in Elvish, and I say, so there's something I want to tell you. Something I want you to know. I spent some time in captivity recently, and I'm not telling you this because I think it compares to whatever you've gone through. I'm sure it doesn't, but I want you to know that, first, I don't like to see people in chains, whether those are physical or not. And second, that I never want to have that kind of power over somebody. So I'm going to do whatever I can to help you. And I just want you to know that.
Make a persuasion check.
Okay. 16.
She nods slowly at first, but then nods a bit quicker. You can see the tears swelling in her eyes, and she looks at you. Thank you. And nods once more to Drew.
I think I'll be able to help you more if I have a better understanding of what's going on. Because what I was told doesn't match up with what I've seen. So, could you tell me about what you know?
I am a mule for them. I am to serve as a transport for whatever it is they put inside me. I don't know what it is.
I thought it might be something like that. Were you awake when they put it in you?
No, I was sedated for I don't know how long. Tired all the time. I don't remember much, but I remember the scar. She kind of looks down at her mother.
If you want us to, we can try and figure out some way to get that out.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not really sure how, but my friend here, and I point to Vesper, is a healer, and she'll probably be able to figure out something. And if we can't figure out something before we get to Whiteguard, then maybe we can find help there.
Okay.
And then, I guess, take some time to think about what it is that you want. And maybe we can find some way to set you up with a new life that's better than the one that you've had before.
You see that look of confusion come across her face before, like she hasn't considered anything like this, of getting out alive, much less what she would do afterwards. And then she looks at you and she nods. And she kind of leans back and squints. You can tell she's thinking.
And then in common, I tell Vesper what Orizana told me.
Okay. I can probably get it out. It might have to be the old-fashioned way. And I try not to let Orizana see as I kind of pull at my sleeve and let Ellory glimpse one of the knives I keep in my sleeve. But I'll be careful and precise. And I can heal her up right after.
Right.
I'm concerned we may need to sedate her, and I don't want to do that without her consent.
Yeah.
Especially if she's used to being sedated. I want her to understand that we're not doing it to keep her from fighting, but to keep her from feeling pain.
Well, I can certainly talk to her about it.
I have to find something to sedate her with. I don't know that I have anything. I might be able to figure something out.
Well, it's maybe not the best option, but if nothing else, I do have some whiskey.
I'm going to talk to Alejandro later anyways, and I've got those Olicil mushrooms. If I can maybe use his workspace to distill them properly, they are a numbing agent.
That would probably be better.
I might try that.
I don't know if you want to do this on the ship, or if you want to wait until we're on solid land, but that's another thing.
Dock, because you're supposed to meet her.
I'm supposed to take her somewhere.
Okay.
I'm not supposed to hand her over on the docks.
Okay. Well, let's talk to her about it.
Yeah, I think that should be her decision.
Okay. And
I suppose see that card in your sleeve. Stop cheating.
As you are playing your card game and discussing, the rest of you, are you guys doing anything particular as the day kind of rolls on across the sea?
Ezekiel sunbathing on the deck.
How is the female elves fishing going?
Sure. So, Ezekiel suntanning, there's a few female golden elves and one male golden elf that seems to be noticing. And Bál, as you come to the back, you can see a few other golden elves have gathered around, just two more, and then that family as well. As you see, the line is become taut and is shifting from side to side. She's gotten up onto her feet onto the railing and is grabbing the rope and is holding on to it, trying to shift it left and right.
Does it look like she's struggling quite a bit?
Yeah, on whatever's on the other end is strong. She's pretty lithe and small.
I think I'll let her struggle for a bit, and then maybe I'll give her a hand.
Okay. Yeah, you see her just putting all of her might with her back and legs trying to pull at the rope. So do you grab the rope and pull on it?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, give me an athletics check.
And before I do, I'll say, hope this isn't another one of those crocodiles.
You didn't leave off. She kind of smiles and halfway laughs.
Athletics check, you said?
Yeah.
It's a natural one.
You grab onto the rope, and as you begin to pull, suddenly it's slicker than you anticipated, and as you pull over, your hand slides along the rope and bumps into her, who slips and turns, one of her hand being knocked loose. She has the other one still on the rope. As she swings around, is hanging off the side of the boat now, just hanging onto the rope with one hand, about 5 feet down, off the back of the boat. Struggling, trying to grab and wrap her legs around.
We try to help her up.
Okay. Give me another athletics check at disadvantage as you're having to lean over the rails to get to her.
All right. You getting that natural one wasn't enough to get any pity, right?
I'll say you can just pull on the rope. And it'd be a straight roll. Okay. You try to reach out to her and can't quite reach her. And as you begin to pull the rope towards you, you get it closer by a foot, 2 feet, 3 feet, and suddenly whatever's on the other side of the line pulls the rope back out of your hands as the rope goes taut once more. And she almost slips. She loses her grip on both of her hands. She has her legs wrapped around and she's hanging upside down. Her sort of dark auburn short hair kind of falling upside down. She's laughing, but she doesn't seem to be worried.
Bál will be panicking, and Bál is going to try once again to somehow get a grip on this and not have her fall.
Okay, make one more athletics check.
I'm assuming it's advantage it again.
Just straight roll.
Okay. A 20.
Okay. This time you grab firmly onto the rope, digging your fingernails into it so it doesn't slip out. And you pull upon the rope, and she so slowly shifts up towards you. You grab her and easily pull her light weight. She maybe weighs 105 pounds. She's small. Pulling her onto the deck. She kind of falls over to the ground, dropping the lines. It goes taut once more. The line curving from left to right. Whatever's on this trying to get off of it and escape.
I'm sorry, I'm not used to these slippery ropes.
Don't try to get away. And she kind of hops to her feet once more and goes over to the rope and looks at you. Well, pull it.
I'll look hesitantly, considering how it just went for my last few attempts, and then I'll try again.
Okay. And
maybe I'll try to time it with her, so okay, on 3.
Okay. She actually doesn't grab the rope, but grabs your leg. She reaches up and tries to grab your belt, and she's going to try to help pull you, so she's going to aid you. So go ahead and roll at advantage. And as you are doing that, Ezekiel, who's sun tanning onto the ship, sort of out of the way, a female golden elf comes up to you. She has longer, dark, bluish-black hair that's been kind of pulled up into a ponytail of medium length. Looks like it would probably go to her shoulders if it wasn't pulled up. And she comes up with a bottle and kind of lays down beside you and offers it to you.
No, my dear, I don't drink, but thank you.
She kind of almost looks confused. Okay. And she just kind of shrugs and gets up and as she's walking away, takes a large swig from the rum. And Bál, so as you're pulling on this rope, you finally get a good grip on it and are able to begin pulling it up. And slowly, whatever's on the other end of the line begins to be pulled closer and closer. And you can begin to see, as the family gets excited, leaning over the rail, you begin to see a fin sort of shaping as it gets pulled closer and closer to the ship. Every now and then it begins to leap out of the water, trying to loosen itself from the rope and from the hook in its mouth. And you see a large finned creature with a sharp and pointed nose that seems to have serrated blades on the top and bottom of this long fish that sort of resembles a swordfish.
I think Bál will get a little excited and look at the elf and say, well, at least it's not a crocodile. And then, get ready to more excitedly pull again.
Okay. And as you're pulling, kind of holding it in place, getting it closer inch by inch, she pulls out a bow and a short bow and begins shooting arrows. A few of them go into the water, but every now and then one will stick into the creature. And you notice it pulling less and less on you.
All right, and then I'll continue to pull more and more.
Okay, make one more athletics check as you notice it's becoming tired, weakened, wounded.
That's a 15.
Okay. This time you pull and you feel the heft of the weight. As you look down and you see the fish is sort of flopping against the side of the boat. Fighting, but with the last energy it has. You can slowly, as it begins to drag up the side of the back of the boat, up the wood and towards you all. A few minutes of pulling and you eventually get it up to the top and are able to grab around the nose of the creature or the gills and pull it. This large, maybe 10-foot long fish with a serrated nose on the front.
I'll, excitedly pat the elven girl on the back, maybe a little too hard.
You about knock her over. What are you waiting for? End it. She kind of gestures towards the sword on your back.
Yeah, I think I'll slowly, like, reach to pull it out and I'll say, where do I stab?
She rolls her eyes, the head, and kind of gestures to the gill area. Decapitated, essentially.
Right. For some reason, like, having a fish that's just, like, letting me kill it as opposed to something that's fighting back, I'm, like, readying the sword and doing the whole golf stance and, like, widening my leg stance, making sure that I've got, like, lining up the putt, and then I swing and cut.
Make an attack roll at advantage.
22.
Oh, yeah. So you raise the sword and slicing into it, and you cut all the way to the bone in the center. Pull up and kind of strike at it a few more times to finally sever the head completely. The body is still churning and writhing just a bit from nerves, but it doesn't last long as it eventually comes to an end. And the head is severed with this very long spear-length nose of serrated blade. And she immediately pulls out a small filleting knife and begins filleting off steaks of fish.
How long is its mouth? Like,
it's sharp nose.
Yeah, it's sharp nose.
It's about the length of a spear.
Okay, so like maybe the length of my greatsword?
Yeah, about that length.
Okay. I think I'll ask her if she can help me collect the teeth.
Sure. Yeah, she'll help you with that.
I might want to use these teeth later on for something, so ideally take the time I need to try to get as many as I can. Even if it's like they don't need to be individual, like even if it's the strip of teeth, so to speak.
Yeah, opening its mouth, there are rows of small teeth, but there's a lot of them. And there is the long nose that's about the length of a spear. But she pauses, cutting off some food. She actually, as you ask her to help her to get these teeth, she cuts off a piece of fish without the scales and kind of tosses it to you. Say their fin. It's good. And she kind of holds open the mouth for you to pull however many tiny teeth. They're long but thin. Teeth you want. There's probably 50 in there.
I'll collect them all and I'll say, I suppose you need to debone it anyways.
Yeah. That's good.
And then with the, I guess the piece that she's given me, I'll look at it all raw, and while I'm holding it in my hand, just not sure what to do with it, I will cast Ignite on it to kind of cook it.
Yeah.
And then try a bite of it.
Okay. You bite into it, seared on the outside. It's pretty good. It's a little crispy. Ignite isn't it as a cooking implement, but it's pretty good though.
Not bad. Thank you.
She nods, and you can now tell a few other golden elves have kind of come up, and a large amount of the fish is kind of being taken down to where the kitchen is, into the barrel of colding to be probably served later tonight or at lunch. But as the day rolls on, let me know if there was anything else you wanted to do as the day continues and you eat fish for lunch, and then for dinner you do again.
I think at some point I'm going to wrap up the game with Vesper, probably earlier rather than later.
Yeah.
And head back up to the top. And let's see. So I guess seeing Ezekiel, I'm just going to go over and sit down nearby.
Well, hello there, Ellory.
Enjoying the sun?
Trying my best. Not very much to do out on the ship for so long.
Yeah. Well, I've been thinking about your offers, both of them.
Of course.
Well, as far as physical activities are concerned, I actually already had in mind to make a similar suggestion. You just beat me to it.
Well, that makes me very pleased.
You were complaining a bit about the lack of exercise that there would be aboard ship.
That's fair. I'll look around the ship at everyone, presumably the sailors around. Why don't we find a little place more private and continue this conversation, perhaps through the evening?
That sounds lovely.
And they go away.
Okay. Go away. You find somewhere in the ship. And as the day rolls into night, we're going to take a break. We'll come back and see what happens.
Next time on Back to the Story.
Sometimes not only are others not accepting of their whole truths, but we may not accept our whole truth as well.
Where did you get this?
It's very old. Discovered it.
Bál is family. You have a problem with him, you've got a problem with the rest of us.
Your ghost room.
What?
We'll tell you. The tenants has spoken to us as children.
For part 2 of this episode of Back to the Story, you can find it on Stitcher, Google Play, Player FM, or TuneIn. If you'd like to support the show, feel free to buy us a coffee at ko-fi.com/backtothestory.